The story begins in an old house. Inside that house, a man and his wife were being brutally beaten by some loan sharks. One of them even took a hot iron and burned the man's lap. Blood was coming out of the man's mouth and he was pleading with them, "Please give me 1 more month. I will return your money." But the leader of the loan sharks had the hot iron in his hand. Smiling, he said, "If you have borrowed it from someone else, then you should pay at least by selling 1 or 2 of your organs. That's what a real person does to pay." Then he grabbed the man's throat and was about to burn his face with an iron. He said, "Both of you should also feel some pain. Only then will you be able to understand the pain of those people who do not get their money back." But just as he was about to bring the iron towards his face, his eyes fell on the woman. She was shivering and breathing heavily, doing something on the phone. The leader immediately snatched the phone from her hand and angrily asked, "What were you doing? Was she calling the police or what?" When he saw the phone screen, he was shocked. The woman was talking to her son. The woman was asking her son, "Where are you? I am unable to reach you." And when she had typed the message that, "Son, don't come home." Then the loan shark snatched the phone and the message could not be sent. The leader was instantly amused. He got a brilliant idea. He said, "What is the use of killing both of you? Now that you have a son, let's teach him a lesson." The couple started crying and pleading that nothing should be done to their son, but no one listened. The leader told his men to shut their mouths. There should be no noise, otherwise the boy will get scared. Then both of them were tied to the wall. And then their son arrived. He was a high school student and his name was Kong Sianu. And this is the real hero of the story. As he opened the door, his mother, speechless and crying with her eyes, tried to stop him from entering. But now it was too late. Sienna had already entered. Loan sharks were standing ready to see him. Sienna casually took off his shoe, adjusted his bag, and said, "I'm home." But before he could understand anything, a goon hit him on the head with a rod. The mother thought that her son was gone now, but then everyone was shocked. Sienna grabbed the same man who had hit him with the rod by his shoulder and punched him so hard that his face was completely disfigured. The situation was such that even if someone sent him to hell, the people in hell might reject him. Everyone was stunned. The leader started sweating. He understood that this boy could not lose in an opponent fight. He shouted to his men, "Attack all at once. Kill him if necessary." A gun attacked, but Sienna dodged it easily. At the same time, he hit the other goons so hard on the ribs that several ribs were broken. The man left the rod in pain and started breathing. But Sienna landed another heavy punch at the same spot. Now the ribs are completely crushed. Then he caught the leg of the first attacker and shattered his bones with a powerful kick. 3 goons had already fallen. Then another idiot came along who thought he would attack with a chair. He actually hit Sianu on the head with a chair. The attack happened, but the effect was 0. Sianu threw the attacker so hard that he hit the wall and became unconscious. The leader could not understand what had happened. Now he thought maybe he could get the job done by threatening Sianu's father. But as soon as he looked ahead, Sianu picked up the hot iron and pressed the leader's head against the wall. Crack broke his neck. Now there was not a single lump left. Sianu was breathing heavily. He went to his parents. He untied their ropes and, as he was leaving, said, "If you don't want me fight, then you shouldn't have been poor." With that, he collapsed. A few hours later, the loan shark and his men were taken to the hospital in multiple ambulances. Everyone was screaming in pain. The doctors were under extreme pressure, as the situation was dire. A man wearing glasses stood at the reception desk. He asked the nurse, "What's going on?" The nurse gave a vague answer. A high school student had single-handedly beaten an entire gang of gangsters. Hearing this, the man in glasses was stunned. Right in front of him, the loan shark boss was being laid on a stretcher, a support pad around his neck. The boss called a man and said, "Go, find and kill the bastard who brought us to the state." But that underling told the boss that the boy was also admitted in the same hospital. The underling smiled and said, "No problem. Big Bear has just left, so understand that the boy is gone now." Hearing this, the man standing in front with glasses was shocked. As soon as he heard the name Big Bear, he immediately asked the nurse, "Which room is that high school boy admitted in?" The nurse said, room 202. And then what? He ran straight past the emergency ward towards room 202. He thought to himself, if this is the big bear I know from the area, then he's their top fighter candidate. I need to see him in action to know his true strength. As he approached the room, he stopped and peeked inside. Instead of going in, he wanted to see what Big Bear was up to. He felt a little sorry for Sianu, but curiosity was stronger. He wanted to see Big Bear as strength. Sianu was still facing Big Bear from the hospital bed, connected to a drip. Big Bear muttered to himself, I thought they were going to call for some real threat. This turned out to be some high school fellow. Then he said to Sianu, don't take it personally. A job is a job. But you look interesting. You're not scared of me. Come, I'll show you what real fear is. But Sianu gave him a look. He didn't give it a chance. He landed a lightning-fast jab, but Big Bear was even faster. He slapped Sianu's head so hard that he fell to the ground, like someone swatting a mosquito with bat. Sianu lay on the ground coughing up blood, and the man in glasses, watching from outside, was impressed. Big Bear's speed was insane. He delivered exactly as expected. Big Bear laughed and said, Son, no matter how crazy you act, if you face me with your eyes wide open, I'll knock you down. But the next moment, everyone was stunned. Sianu slowly got up, wiped the blood from his mouth, and said, You talk too much. Considering you have nothing. Hearing this, Big Bear became irritated, but also excited. He was enjoying it, because that's the thrill of seeing someone appear without fear. The man in glasses had now become serious. He realized that Big Bear really wanted to kill Sianu. But before he could go in, Sianu dodged Big Bear's first strike and landed a powerful kick straight to his face. The man in glasses was completely shocked. He never thought anyone could knock Big Bear down. But Big Bear caught himself off guard. Now the man in glasses was a little relieved. After all, Big Bear is known throughout the country as the physical king. How could he fall so easily? Big Bear smiled and said, You think I'd fall with a high schooler's kick? But before he could finish his sentence, Kong Sianu threw another punch. This time straight to his face. Big Bear's face hit the ground and he fell. Even the man in glasses couldn't believe it. This is impossible. But Sianu didn't stop there. He continued to rain down punches one after another. It was as if he was teaching the boy wisdom. After breaking his head, Big Bear somehow grabbed him by the waist and squeezed him hard. Sianu was taken off guard. Big Bear said this. Using the ultimate move on a high schooler is shameful. But now it'll be fun. The one in the glasses immediately recognized it. The Bone Crusher. The move no one can escape. He thought he'd have to stop the fight. But then, to his shock, Sianu was still shaking. Big Bear couldn't understand why his bones weren't being crushed. Sianu tried with all his might to stand up, when suddenly, bang, he lifted his head and smashed it directly into Big Bear's. The brutal headbutt impact was so powerful that Big Bear released his grip. He wondered if Sianu had metal implants in his bones, but Sianu didn't stop there. One after another, headbutts, skulls cracked, teeth shattered, and a face turned into paste. The one in the glasses yelled, Stop. He's already unconscious. Then he said, Calm down. If you don't stop now, this cleanup will become nightmare. He immediately called out. He suffered head trauma from a car accident. Come quickly to room 202, building B. Sianu, now looking very weak, said to the one in the glasses, Who are you guys? The man in glasses extended a card to him and said, The contact on this card can give you whatever you want. Sianu was confused. Are you on his team? The man in glasses laughed and said, No. I was thinking I could be on your team. Just then, some masked men entered the room. Their job was to pick up Big Bear and clean up the scene. A masked man said to the man in glasses, Status confirmed. Should we wrap it up? The man in glasses said, Make sure Big Bear doesn't regain consciousness for a while. Okay. Masked guy responded and the cleanup began. Sianu sat there thinking, what are these people after all? Then the man with glasses gives him a business card and says that the contact on this card belongs to the person who can give you everything you want. Sianu took the card, but he had no idea what it was about. The man with glasses said, You just have to fight for who you serve. But Sianu squeezed the card in his fist and said, Get lost. He threw the card straight into the dustbin and said, I don't want to fight to earn money, and I don't know what scam you are running this time. He walked out of the room. The man wearing glasses did not follow him, but in his mind he thought that thoughts can change any time. A few minutes later in the men's washroom, Sianu was pouring water on his face. He was muttering to himself, Damn, whatever my life may be like, at least I had to fulfill my mother's wish that I should never fight with anyone. Just then his father came in. He asked, What are you doing here and where are you going in this condition? Listen, he said angrily, you tell me who is responsible for this situation? Why didn't you do anything? How did you get caught up in Hugh's day when you were a boxing champion? Did you have offers, or is this going to show that your champion pride is bigger than any local boxing gym? I don't even know why you were dropped from the national team. But was that useless pride more important than your sick and weak wife? His father remained silent. There was no answer. Then he walked out of the washroom without saying anything. He just said this while leaving. Don't go anywhere, stay in the hospital. A few moments later, Sienna suddenly felt dizzy. He narrowly escaped falling and sat on the ground. He could not understand why this dizziness and headache was occurring. He started thinking that maybe it was due to lack of sleep, but he was not sure. He said to himself, my head always hurts when I see her because I hate her. He hated his father because he always came with injuries and always gave in to the parents of the bullies Sienna got into fights with. Sienna didn't even have to trust his father. He did not want to believe that his father had done everything he needed to do. But I myself was feeling as if I was sinking in a pit. Because being a high schooler who can't even go on a deep-sea fishing boat, changing his life seemed impossible. It was becoming difficult to even meet daily expenses. While working hard, the delivery bike of his company was also destroyed. Because he refused to play with the school bullies. Because of those bullies, his father's burden on him increased, and he could not even run away from home, leaving his mother behind. His life was completely in the pit. But suddenly he regained consciousness. He was on a hospital bed. He was having severe headache. He remember when he was shifted to another room. He pulled out his phone to check how long he had been asleep. But his mood went completely down when he saw his father's text. He opened the message. It was written in the text that now the time has come for me to tell you everything. Sianu was shocked tonight. What is he hiding now? Then he thought he should check on his mother. Don't come home. Some gangsters are hiding there. It is very dangerous. He said that he has been shifted to another hospital room with a new name so that he remains safe. Sienna got into panic. So where's mother? Mother said she was hiding in a motel near the police station. He is safe and I can't talk for long. Don't go anywhere for now. The phone got disconnected. Sienna sat silent for a few moments and then started blaming himself. If I hadn't messed with those gangsters, everything wouldn't have been so bad. He decided that now he would first find his mother. But just as he was about to run out, the call came again. Caller ID Dad, he picked up immediately, but the voice belonged to someone else. The man said nervously, Are you Mr. King's son? Sienna said yes, but who are you? The man said it was very bad. Your dad has fallen. He is unconscious. The situation is very bad. He had multiple bone fractures and broken ribs in a work accident. A few hours later, in the intensive care unit, Sianu was looking at his heavily injured and unconscious father. The doctor said, the surgery is very difficult. The cost of the surgery alone will exceed 100 million rupees, and then there is the long treatment and rehabilitation. Hearing all this, Sianu started to tear up. He was unable to understand where he can get so much money from. Where to start? Sianu suddenly remembered that he had thrown the red business card in the dustbin. So, without wasting any time, he ran straight towards the same room where he had received treatment earlier. After running for a few minutes, he reached room 202. But the bin was completely empty. It seemed it had been cleaned up. Sianu sat down on the ground and started crying bitterly. It's all my fault. He started mumbling. Started apologizing to his father. I wish I were dead, he said, weeping. Then a familiar voice came from behind. Are you looking for a red business card? He was the same man with glasses. He asked, Have you changed your mind? Sianu immediately asked, How much can he give to Sianu? The man said, touching his glasses, At least 10 billion if you win. And even if you don't win, but gain popularity, you can still earn a lot of money. He then asked, "Are you interested in working with us?" Next scene, in an office, a man with glasses, now named Kim, gives Sianu a contract. Kim says read it comfortably and sign it when you are ready. Sianu picked up the papers and saw that fighting word was written. He became curious. What is this? Kim said this is a secret underground fighting tournament, where fighters, who get monster powers from dangerous doping drugs given in hospitals, participates. Sianu was shocked. Then Kim said, "It is optional. I don't do such things." Kim still started showing him doping drugs. He said this is not just simple drugs. There are some which give monster strength even to old people. Of course this is optional, not mandatory. Sianu asked, "Who are you?" Kim adjusted his glasses and said, "Sorry for the late intro. I'm Kim Min-sik, a scout and a very important person who plays vital part in fighting ward." Sianu had no idea about his identity. But Kim said, "Don't worry about my identity right now. The issue of doping is more important." Then he said, "Till now no one has won a tournament without doping." Sianu still remained adamant, saying he will not do dope. Kim said, "Okay, I will not talk about doping anymore. You'll find out everything in the arena anyway." Sianu thought he wasn't even listening to me. Kim explained the tournament system. If you reach the top 20, you can choose a sponsor. By making that important person your sponsor, you can go ahead and win. Sianu said, "Okay. I understood all the nonsense. Now just give me the money. I don't want anything else." Kim calmly said, "There is a problem with your request. Payment is possible only through tournaments." Sianu yelled angrily, "Are you kidding me? If there is no guarantee of money, then why should I do all this?" Kim said, "Relax. You need money for your father's surgery and also to keep him safe. Am I right?" Sianu was shocked. "How do you know all this?" Kim didn't respond. He just said, "You just fight for our boss. We will take care of surgery, safety, and department." Sianu got a little emotional at his words. "But how can I trust you?" he asked. Just then his phone rang. Mother's call. He picked it up immediately. "Mom, is everything all right?" Mother said, "I heard you paid the hospital bills? And you've sent bodyguards too." Sianu was shocked. "When did I do all this?" Kim said softly, "Now you can relax. The safe house for your parents is already ready." He then said, "Honestly, we have no other option but you." Sianu then called his mother and said, "Yes, Mom, I sent them. Do as they say, I'll be back soon." He hung up. Now he looked at Kim and became serious. "Why is the price so high?" 10 billion. Kim replied, 10 billion is just the base price. The higher the bidding, the higher the price. One winner even took 15 billion. Sianu was shocked. "That's insane." Kim said, "It's possible, but there's a downside. 90% of people either die or become disabled. Only 10% come out safe and sound." Sianu said, "So many people die, and yet no one knows." Kim said, "That's why it's a secret, and as soon as the contract is signed, will be your death alibi." Kim told Sianu that the hospital is the best place to plan a fake death. Whether it's a disappearance, an illness, a fall, or drugs, we can fake everything. Sianu said again, "And if I report all this?" Kim replied coldly, "Do you think it's that hard to make you look like a crazy drug addict? And anyway, who would believe a crazy person reporting on a tournament that doesn't even officially exist?" He continued, "And anyway, you'll already be declared dead before you report. That's the beauty of this hospital system." A sly smile appeared on his face. Then he calmly said, "Sianu, it's all up to you. Do you want to participate or not? You decide." He asked, "So, do you want to sign now or take a few days to think?" Most people take time. But there was no hesitation in Sianu's eyes. He said, "I don't need even a day. I've decided. Just keep your promise." Kim's smile deepened. A smile, the certainty of victory. But then Sianu suddenly felt a prick on his neck. A nurse had come from behind and injected him. Sianu was startled. He tried to struggle. "What are you guys doing?" Kim looked him in the eyes and said, "Relax, Sianu. This is just anesthesia to get you to the arena. Remember, your parents' safety, father's surgery is only for the duration of the tournament. So, make sure you win and solve all your problems." Just like that, Sianu faints. After a few minutes, his consciousness slowly started returning. His mind was blank. He thought perhaps he was dead. He was not able to understand anything. Neither this place nor these people nor this bed on which he was being taken somewhere. "Where am I?" Sianu asked, daring to do so. The man who was pushing him. He said in a cold voice, "Keep quiet." He would find out himself later and welcomed him to hell. Then a cold sensation ran down his spine. Meanwhile, on the other side, Director Yeonseong Group Company Director Yun Cha was sitting in his office. "We will call him Director Yun from here on out." Kim had arrived and told Director Yun about Sianu. Director Yun asked skeptically, "Are you serious? Using a high school student as our representative fighter? Even if he defeated Big Bear, it's still ridiculous." Kim replied calmly while adjusting his glasses. "Of course Vice President might mock us for this, but that's the point. The more ridiculous it seems, the better." Kim explained that if we want to trap the Vice President, who is a fan of fighting Ward, in this bet, we need him to underestimate us. Director Yun, he was a little intrusive. "Are you trying to say that only this one boy can defeat our Vice President?" Then Kim said we checked his body. Even after surviving Big Bear's bone-crushing technique, his condition was nothing short of miraculous. On the other side, in the fighting ward, Sianu's eyes opened to blurry visuals. His mind filled with confusion. He could not understand what this place was and who was the person who was about to set foot on his face. The masked man said, "Step back or we'll shoot the next moment." The boy stepped back as soon as he heard the guard's warning. Sianu was still on the ground with drones flying around him. A drone came near and said, "Participant's consciousness confirmed." Sianu was now surprised. "Where am I in?" Then the announcement was made. "The first round matches will start now." The mechanical sound of the drone resonated. "Welcome to the doping test round." The heart rate of every fighter increases. This round will determine which of the 200 fighters will be able to enter the main battle arena. Everyone's fate now depended on one injection. For some it is a blessing of power, and for others it is an invitation to death. Let the selection begin. Each participant will be given a random doping injection. Each one does to enhance a specific physical trait. And on the other hand, VIPs who are watching the tournament broadcast were told that they can now place their bets. Each fighter had his own doping set. The same boy standing in front gets excited, picks up the doping gun and injects himself. Sianu says to himself, "I already broke the promise I made to my parents that I will never fight and I will graduate from school. But I can't break my last promise. Not to do drugs." But then he faced reality. The boy standing in front of him spits up blood after a doping injection, trembles, and then suddenly his body begins to change. Sianu's eyes widen. What the hell? The boy now suddenly jumps up with agility and comes to stomp on Sianu's face. But Sianu reflexively dodged and the boy hits the wall. Pieces of the wall fly off. The impact breaks the wall. Sianu thinks inwardly. He was thin until a second ago. Where did these muscles come from? The drone announced. The fighter has successfully increased the strength attribute. The boy was laughing with excitement that he had hit the power doping jackpot. He said excitedly, "I wish I could go out right now and break all those who thought I was a loser." Then he moved from his spot and was in front of Sianu in an instant. He said, "Now how do I kill this small insect and have fun?" But before he could do anything, Sianu punched him in the face, leaving him unable to react and immediately retreating. The boy got angry with that small punch. He felt like Sianu was insulting him just like his friends did. But Sianu didn't care about what he said. He was just observing the boy, and the punch he threw was just to test his reaction. He thought that it seems his reaction speed has not increased. That if I slowly close the distance and create an opening, I might get a chance. But before that, the boy charged towards him at full speed and hit the head with his fist. So, at that moment Sianu understood that he cannot face this monster directly. So, he thought that maybe he could do something by targeting his face. He tried to balance in midair. But then the boy punched him hard, causing Sianu to bleed. Sianu didn't even get a chance to recover before the boy grabbed his legs and slammed him hard on the ground in excitement. He said, "I don't need to watch your movements. Just my strength will do." Sianu was completely helpless. Such blows would have killed anyone. but Sianu possessed bone power. The boy laughed excitedly and said, "Crushing you looks amazing. Let me see how far a person can be crushed." He jumped up and shouted in midair, "Now call everyone who insulted me, because now I am the strongest." He landed directly on Sianu's chest. He said with a creepy smile, "The best part of a crush is breaking ribs." Meanwhile, a few hours earlier in Director Yun's office, Kim had reported that when Sianu had survived Big Bear's bone-crushing attack, they examined his body. What they found was unbelievable. Sianu's bone density was 10 times higher than a normal human, meaning his bones were unlike those of a human. Therefore, normal attacks had no effect on him. Back to the fight. As the boy was stepping on Sianu grabbed his leg and skillfully freed himself from his grip. The boy tried to grab his leg, but Sianu quickly changed his leg position and pulled away. The boy was amazed at how Sianu was able to withstand so much without the doping. But he didn't believe it. He thought perhaps his body hadn't fully absorbed the effects of the doping. Sianu thought this monster had slowed down a bit now, and his stamina didn't seem to have improved. He figured that until he could catch him, he could target the face. But he'd have to focus on speed instead of power. Sianu moved toward him. The boy was delighted that Sianu was coming at him and raised his hand for a fatal strike. But Sianu dodged the strike and bang. A sharp left jab landed on his face. The boy immediately countered with a left hand, but Sianu dodged again and bang. Another sharp right jab landed, momentarily knocking the boy off balance. Sianu didn't even give him a chance to breathe, landing multiple jabs until he looked like he was about to pass out. Sianu saw this golden opportunity and decided to end the fight with one heavy blow. But as Sianu tried to land the final blow, the boy grabbed his arm and said with a strange smile, "I've finally caught you. You were so excited that you didn't even realize I let you hit me on purpose." Sianu replied, "Do you think I let you get caught like that?" He then asked, "Do you know why the kangaroo grabbed their opponent's arms before a powerful strike?" Bang. Sianu performed an insane acrobatic move and landed his leg on the boy's face, sending him crashing to the ground. The boy was at a loss for words. His body couldn't move. He yelled in anger, "Damn it, why is my body behaving like this? What? Losing to a non-doped person." He looked up at the doping gun and decided he needed another dose. Perhaps the first wasn't enough. But Sianu saw him do this and immediately decided he had to stop him, because the dose was actually meant for Sianu. But before Sianu could reach the boy, he injected himself. The drone immediately announced, "Stamina doping successfully applied," and at that very moment, the boy speared Sianu midair, causing him to spit up blood. But things didn't stop there. The boy, enraged, grabbed Sianu midair and slammed him to the ground. The drone came to check if Sianu was alive, but the boy pushed that away, because the fight wasn't over for him. He grabbed Sianu by the throat and said, "There's something I've always wanted to do. This is the real feeling. To fight pests like this, you have to stop breathing, only then will it be fun." But then, just as Sianu was about to give up, the boy suddenly fell to the ground and died. The drone announced game over due to a death. Director Yun, who was watching, was completely confused as to how this had happened. Kim told him that the boy had died due to an overdose of doping. Touching his glasses, Kim said, "The survival rate for taking 2 different doping drugs simultaneously is less than 0.5%. And he had already taken power doping, followed by stamina doping. This was bound to happen." Director Yun said, "Well, I have to admit Sianu is lucky the opponent died on his own." Kim said, "Perhaps, but it wouldn't be right to just call it luck. Sianu's body is unusually strange." Director Yun said, "It's nothing strange. This guy doesn't break easily. You know there are bigger monsters out there." Kim said, "Sir, he's different. Doping enhances muscles, organs, hormones, everything. You can. But there's one thing that doesn't enhance your bones. And there's something secret about Sianu's bonus. That's why he's special." Director Yun said, "Let's see how special he is when he enters the next round." He asked Kim, "What's the next step on Kid's schedule?" Kim replied, adjusting his glasses. Sianu had passed the doping test round. Now he'll have urgent treatment, and after that, he'll meet the monsters who have survived, who have developed different powers. A little while later, Sianu was sitting in the fighting ward's treatment room with a worried expression. He was saying, "That guy died because of me." But then he decided to break that weak thought. "I was about to die and just wanted to knock him out. I have to do everything. Only then I can save my mom and dad." Just then, a drone came to him and announced, "All players who have passed the round will move to the next lobby." The attendant told Sianu that drone is a guide that would explain everything to him. "As long as you follow the guide, you'll be fine. But don't make any stupid moves." All guides were armed with lethal weapons. The drone assigned to guide Sianu led him to the lobby. As he walked, Sianu wondered, "What is this place? It seems like an underground cave or a secret facility. They've completely eliminated the option of escape. I wish I could talk to my mother once." He decided he had to stay alive. "At least, they promised that my mom and dad would be safe as long as I'm participating." But he also wondered, the fight here is totally different from the outside world. People outside considered me a monster. But the street punks here are on a different level. The guide announced, "The player lobby has arrived." The door opened and Sianu entered. The announcement came, "All players have entered the lobby. The game will now start with 124 participants. Please gather in front of the monitors for briefing." Sianu said to himself, "What are these monsters? They seem more dangerous than the ones in the first round." He decided to keep a low profile until the official match began. But then a guy came to him and said, "Hey high school kid, how did you reach here? Can I play with you a little?" Sianu thought, "Damn, this uniform is making me an easy target. Let the briefing start soon." 2 more men were up to mock Sianu, one like a clown and one like a crab, laughing. Clown said he heard that high school kid qualified because his opponent died of an overdose. Crab guy said, "That means he has not even taken doping till now." The clown said that bringing him in school uniform means that rich people just want to see a tragic show. Crab guy said, "Let's have some fun with him." But clown spoke in panic. "Keep your head down and walk. Someone else has already called their dibs on him." Then someone called Sianu from behind. "When someone asks wanna play, you should answer." He placed his hand on Sianu's head and said if he didn't answer, he would kill him. Sianu thought, "If I want to survive among these crazy people, I'll have to be crazier than them." Sianu was about to turn around and attack the guy. Then he got a big surprise. A guy comes in between and stops that big cow. That guy told the big cow to stop it. The big cow got irritated. He was holding that guy's hand tightly. But that guy does not react at all. He speaks straight. "Leave this little student alone. He is just a student." Then he forcefully freed his hand. Big Cow said, "A guy who has only one arm doped. He will stop me. That too for this weak boy." Sianu was furious inside. But he decided it was better to ignore it because getting hurt unnecessarily would be useless. Now the Big Cow decides that he will kill that guy right there. Sianu was not the kind of person who would remain silent after seeing someone being bullied in front of him. But the biggest cheer he got was when a gunshot sounded from the drone and the same Big Cow fell. The drone announced that the briefing was about to begin. Anyone who harms anyone outside the designated schedule will be executed immediately. Sianu thinks these people kill without warning. Can anyone really survive here? Then a masked man appears on screen and makes an announcement with enthusiasm. Those at crowd who passed the doping test. In the round that just ended, it was important to just survive. There was no elimination. But from now on, the loser of each round will be eliminated, and elimination means unfit for further combat. Then he says, "But you all have come here with one reason, the grand prize of 10 billion Indian rupees. All the players get excited. Sianu also thinks that if I get this money, then my family will finally be able to live a human life. He decided that he would do anything for this. But then that person says that unfortunately this price will be given to only one person. But don't feel disappointed because if you reach the top 16 and survive, you will get 5% of the betting amount placed on you by VIPs. Now all the players become even more excited. Some weaklings were saying that we will win the prize and also loot the betting money. It was then explained that each player would have their own broadcast channel and be assigned a personal guide, also with a camera. VIPs will watch channels where they think the person can win and will bet on that. The more attention you get from VIPs, the more money you can make. Now players will be given 5-person rooms in which they will stay till the end of the game. Roommates can choose freely. If you have any other questions, the guide will help. Clown Guy tells Crab Guy that to attract the attention of VIPs, it is necessary to be with strong people. Some big moves will have to be shown. Crab Guy said, if I share a room with a kid like that high schooler, I won't be able to make a dime. Sienna thinks finding the room will be so tough too. Then the same man who had saved him earlier. He said don't take too much tension. I will ensure that nothing happens to you before the official match. Sienna said nothing, but he noticed that the man's hand was still trembling because of that big cow grip. Just then someone passed by him. Sienna seemed to recognize him. Maybe he was some famous guy. That guy said it seems there is a room where there is no competition. Let's check it. Sienna was a little suspicious. This guy got injured because of me and now wants to share a room with me, which everyone is avoiding. But then he thought he should choose any room. Danger is everywhere. So, he decided to go with him. Clown Guy looked at them and said, this looks like a complete disaster group. Crab Guy predicted it would have the lowest viewership. Clown Guy said that's why I went to the room next to the one that seems to be the most popular. Being in the same room can be dangerous. But you will get screen time even if you live next door. Crab Guy agrees yes, if people like muscle heads attract VIPs, then it would be beneficial to be around them too. 3 big muscled guys were sitting in the opposite room. They looked quite scary. Just then a blonde guy comes into the room, closes the door. He goes to them and says, this is the spot which you people are occupying. I am feeling good. Please shift a little. A big cow comes forward and says the camera is not even on and you have come with the door closed. It seems you have come with a desire to die. He attacked with his left arm. But the blonde guy simply used 2 fingers to bang and strike the weakest spot on the big guy's neck. The guy fell down immediately and his neck got twisted. The other 2 muscle guys were shocked. Blonde guy asks them if anyone else wants to get grid. No response came. Everyone was silent out of fear. The blonde guy said, good. It is better to remain silent. Because the person I want to greet next is someone else. The blonde guy's name was Minsahan. Age 19 for reference, we'll call that blonde boy Minsu. A few hours later, inside a car on a bridge, Kim tells Director Yun that he has received information that the first vice president will be teaming up again with Choi Mak-yeon, the champion of the previous tournament. Director Yun said in frustration, damn, of course he will use him, and there is no one who can defeat him. Unlike me whose alternative is just a high schooler. Kim replied carnally. If Sienna reaches the top 16, he will get a chance in the second doping round, and with his body, which is already 10 times stronger than a normal human, after doping he can become a record-breaking monster. Director Yun was a little concerned. But how can we keep him on our side while other VIPs try to snatch him away? Kim confidently said, don't worry about it for now because the 5 people in his room had the lowest viewership during the doping test round. Back at the fighting ward, Sienna enters his new room with the man who saved him. The man said in a slightly worried tone, it will not be easy to gain viewership here because the audience is attracted only to those fighters who have a chance of winning. There were already some people in the room. One of them was a girl, Amanda Groch, age 23, a capoeira jiu-jitsu fighter. The second was the competition's smallest physique fighter, Kim Miho, age 25, was a boxer, and the third was Menon, age 28, and the man noticed that Menon was literally trying to touch his elbow with his tongue. Cameras were surrounding everyone in the room. The man said to Sianu, it seems the guides have started the movie. So, we have to attract the attention of VIPs for betting money. Then the man placed one of his hands on the ground and turned his entire body upside down and started performing acrobatics. Sienna was thinking this doesn't seem like anything special. But then Amanda stood up. She placed one of her fingers on the ground and lifted her entire body. Sienna was in shock. How can someone lift an entire body with just one finger? Without any momentum. Then Amanda and that man started competing. Who is faster? Miho, the smallest fighter, said that showing strength was a fool's job, and then he continued zooming forward and backward at full speed. On the other hand, Menon finally touched his elbow with his tongue. Everyone was busy showing their talent so that they could get the attention of the audience. Sienna was confused. What is happening? It is amazing to look at. But I feel like I have become an idiot after watching this. Then a sudden announcement came on the screen. The 124-person tournament bracket is now complete. Everyone was shocked to see who his first match was going to be against. Xianu's opponent turns out to be Kai. The scene shifts to Hyeon Seong group where director Yun asks Kim if Kai is that dangerous. Kim replied, Kai never lost a single fight in his Letway fighting career. Director Yun asked confused, what is a Letway? Kim explained that it's a Burmese martial art similar to Muay Thai, but a little more brutal, with no gloves and headbutts allowed. Hitting the opponent's face with the forehead is allowed, which can be quite fatal. Therefore, this technique is mostly banned in tournaments. The most dangerous part of Letway is that it allows attacks on the back of the head and spine, which are strictly prohibited in other martial arts. Therefore, Kai has the most real combat experience compared to all the participants in this tournament. Kai did not give up fighting even after his professional career. Instead, he started fighting infamous street fighters, due to which an organization recruited him. Director Yun lastly asks if Xianu can really stand against him. Kim became a little intrigued and said, I don't know either. Because so far Xianu has only fought debt collectors and a big bear like Guy, who never took proper martial arts training. The scene shifts back to the 5-person room in the fighting ward. Sonu gets up from his box feeling very relieved. He wonders how long he slept. But immediately he realizes that his body is feeling very light. And it wasn't just about feeling light. He has had this feeling before when he opened his eyes after the fight with Big Bear. Same feeling as if he has become stronger. Then the man also gets up and tells Xianu that there is no need to be surprised. When muscles are pushed to the limit and recover without permanent damage, they naturally become stronger than before. Then he added, it seems you have never pushed yourself to that limit before. Xianu thinks with a shocked expression. Is he telling the truth? While fighting against Big Bear, I had already reached my limit and I didn't even realize how I was fighting. The man said, forget about muscles, even your recovery speed seems abnormal. Maybe you have become a victim of some recovery doping. Xianu told the man, I'm curious about one thing since last night. Why did you take the risk and save me? What was the need to injure yourself? The man replied with a slightly pale face. You remind me of my son. If I had been a better father, my son would not have fallen into the trap of loan sharks. That's why I'm here, to pay his debt. There was guilt in his eyes. But when I saw you alone, I only remembered my son whom I neglected and whom I ruined. So, I just couldn't stand silent. Xianu told him seriously, don't waste your time on me. Just stay alive and take care of your real son. If you die, all this will be for nothing. The man got emotional at Xianu's words. But he said it doesn't matter to me. I will always help you. Then Menon shouts angrily during their conversation. Damn it. I'm the guy who can touch elbows with his tongue. So why am I not in the main arena? The man tells Xianu, I heard that only those who have the most viewership matches go to the main arena. Everyone else fights in the doping arena. But the twist was that they were all in the main arena, meaning their opponents would be the most popular monsters in the tournament. Xianu saw this as an opportunity. Perfect. This will bring the attention of all the VIPs to our room simultaneously. The man was shocked. Are you crazy? Then Menon suddenly appeared in front of Xianu with freaky face. Xianu literally shifted with fear. Menon said the main arena is not just for attracting viewers. It's where 16 VIPs comes there personally. Those people who are the real power in the world. The scene shifts. It was night already. 3 cars were parked outside a house in the middle of the forest with their headlights on. Inside the house, Kim and Director Yun were standing in front of a fire. Director Yun said to Kim, I thought I was going to the arena. What kind of a disgusting place is this? Kim replied, the exact location of the fighting ward is a secret. Only the organizers know it. Maybe that's why we were called to this hidden spot. Then they realized someone else had connected to Xianu's channel besides us. Director Yun was confused. What's this all of a sudden? Is someone watching us? Just then, they heard a voice from the top of the building. There seems to have been a bit of a misunderstanding, a girl said. It was Sung Hyeon, age 19, the youngest daughter of the Hyeon Seong group. She casually replied, I'm just interested in Xianu. I'm not stalking you too. Director Yun's blood boiled. Seriously, I was fired from the company just a few days ago, and now you guys are following me here like rats. Kim said, a little lecherously. It seems the young lady has taken a special interest in the boss, and I suspect she has some ulterior motives too. Director Yun said in a warning tone, if you're planning something, it'd be better to quietly leave. Whatever you're thinking won't work. But before anything else could happen, a drone and a car stopped in front of them. They had come to pick them up, to guide them directly to the fighting ward's main arena. The drone announces that it will take everyone to the arena, which clearly shows that the next phase of whatever is happening is about to begin. And then a mysterious voice tells the girl to remove the blindfold from her eyes. As she did so, she saw a large, luxurious room connected by a window. At first, she could not understand what those people were doing in that room. But as she looked outside, she saw an arena where people were fighting. Then a bald bodyguard came towards her and said that what is visible below is the main arena and she is sitting in one of the 16 VIP rooms. The girl smiled a little and said that finally she had reached her brother's playground. Kim was also present there, and he told Yun that as soon as the current match ends, their Sianu will enter the competition and his fight will begin. At the same time, in the arena, a small boy defeated a man 10 times bigger than him, and seeing this, Yun felt that the small boy was a monster. Kim told Yun that the boy was Minsu, who was the same age as Sianu. The Yun was shocked to hear that there was another high school student in the arena. Kim starts checking his tablet and tells him that Minsu has left school. So technically he is not a student. But he also left the same school as Sianu, which is a bit strange. Just then a guide drone came to Minsu and another fighter and announced that the match between Room 9 and Room 20 had ended with Minsu's victory and the next match would be between Room 10 and Room 3. As soon as the announcement was made, fighters from all the rooms started coming out. And as soon as Sianu and Old Man came out, they were even more shocked this round than the last. The first match was Miho's and the other 10 people were patiently waiting. Those whose match ended had to leave the stage immediately. The old man knew that Miho was not the kind of person who would panic easily. But suddenly, it felt like a projectile came towards Sianu at super fast speed. And he was shocked to the core. But then it turned out that it was just a stone flying very fast. Miho was no normal child. He immediately understood that this stone was thrown by none other than Minsu. He also knew that at such a speed, very few people would notice. But Miho was one of them. Just then, Minsu casually asks Miho if all the high school students on his team are arrogant. Hearing this question, Miho got a little confused and replied that he was not nosy about his nature. But then Minsu suddenly got angry and started saying that whatever Miho is saying is not possible at all. Miho immediately took a defensive stance as he sensed the bloodlust coming from Minsu. But Sianu and Old Man couldn't understand why Miho was behaving like this. Amanda explained to the old man that Miho's senses were so sensitive that he could sense even the tiniest of wrong intentions from his opponent. Miho was shocked when he opened his eyes and saw Minsu walking away. He couldn't understand how his senses became so overwhelmed that he felt he was being attacked. But Miho was sure that some time ago Minsu was going to attack him with the intention of actually killing him. But he decided to stop at the last second. But before anyone else could notice anything, Miho was called by his real opponent, PS31, a wrestler. The scene cuts and we see the president of a big hotel watching the fight. He told his butler that the boy's opponent's name was Pius. Butler told the president that no matter how good the opponent's attacks were, Pius is a solid wrestler and can crush his opponent in seconds if he gets into rhythm. He completely suppresses his opponent before they understand what is happening to them. In the history of mixed martial arts, the top positions have been occupied by wrestlers because this is the strongest base in the fight. Even when someone attacks with just a fist, a wrestler can still catch him. The hardest to control opponent attacks not just with his fists, but with his entire body weight. So ultimately, if someone is a wrestler and he is good, then he has no need to be afraid. Miho was compared to Pius on a physical level. As Miho took a boxing stance, Pius laughed and said, "Is this some boxing rockery?" It felt like Miho never fought without gloves. And it's too bad for Miho that his first opponent is Pius. But before Pius could laugh anymore, Mino punched him at a crazy speed, damaging one of his eyes so badly that he might not even see it in the future. Pius started screaming and yelling in pain, while Miho was super handy. Pius was injured in just one hit and was now unable to concentrate properly. With just one eye, he was unable to see or follow Miho's movements properly, especially since Miho was repeatedly attacking from the same side whose eye was damaged. Tracking the small and super fast Miho's hand now become almost impossible for that big piece. Then suddenly Miho hit him with a left upcut and then immediately followed it up with a right straight punch to his face. He punched so hard that even Pius's skull got damaged. But still he neither stopped nor faltered. Miho was attacking him from every angle and each strike was so intense that it was causing him heavy damage. These attacks were so strong that Pius's other eye was also getting damaged. There was so much going on that the older boy couldn't properly track Miho's movements. The old man was shocked to see Miho, who almost defeated his opponent in just a few punches, but Amanda pointed out that Pius was grabbing Miho's fist and trying to stop them. Then the scene suddenly comes on stage. We saw that Pius almost attacked Miho, but Miho immediately jumped back, creating distance. He himself was confused when he was dominating the Pius. Then why did he suddenly feel threatened? Pius himself was shocked as to how he was able to stop these attacks. Then he remembered that when one of his eyes started seeing clearly for a while, his instincts started working. The intensity of that savage fight was so crazy that his entire body went on alert. It felt like the Pius had entered the second phase of a boss fight. He closed his eyes and even Miho couldn't properly understand what was happening. But he did know that he still had to remain alert because the odds were not entirely in his favor. Pius then blocks Miho's punch by closing his eyes. All the members sitting and the hotel president were shocked by this scene. Miho suddenly felt a sense of danger. He knew that if he did not turn left, he would definitely die. Somehow, he dodged Pius's next attack and seemed to have survived. But then a jointed hand came towards Miho and slammed him to the ground. Before he could fall, Pius caught him and delivered a reverse body slam. The old man was surprised to see this outcome, and on the other hand, the president was happy. Even though he didn't understand how Pius became more powerful after losing an eye, Butler said that perhaps the injection had heightened Pius's senses. When he lost his vision, the scene shifts back a bit. Miho was being beaten badly, while Pius was smiling like a devil and thanking Miho for ruining one of his eyes. Because it was because of him that he was able to fully understand his new powers. But suddenly Miho punched again. He was not ready to accept defeat. The punch was so powerful that the Pius fell several meters away. We then learned that Miho also gouged out Pius's other eye. The president went into deep shock. He thought all his money was gone. The old man thought maybe Miho was still okay. Even after so many attacks, he really didn't know what happened. He was just happy that the situation turned out like this. Meanwhile, Butler told the president that Miho was unconscious when he punched Pius. The president was shaken to the core after hearing this, as he saw Miho raise his fist and declare his victory. But Amanda knew Miho had to come to his senses quickly, before Pius could find him with his enhanced senses even without his eyes. Now we see that Pius has woken up, but Miho is still unconscious. Pius was unable to see anything with both his eyes. But surprisingly, this became an advantage for him rather than a weakness. His senses were evolving with every second. He could even smell the floor. He could even feel dust particles in his opponent's breath and even detect slight changes in air pressure through his skin. It seemed as if he could see his backside without turning back. Initially, he thought that the injection he took was probably not powerful, because it was not a power-type drug. But now he realized that the injection was actually insane. Now he had powers that were growing stronger every second. Pius was now laughing like crazy, and everyone was looking at him in a stun. He finally decided that it was because of Miho that he got this strength. He would let him rest peacefully, and then he jumped and attacked. Meanwhile, Miho was unconscious. His body was not ready to listen to Pius. Then he remembered that he had to avenge the death of his innocent brother. At that very moment, he remembered how he was dragged into the underground fight arena while he was looking for weapons. That memory was so powerful that Miho's eyes opened. His body was back under his control. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw that Pius was about to attack him with an elbow. But something was strange. The speed of the piece seemed as slow as a turtle. Minu now understood that the grind had not slowed down but had itself become very fast. Piece's attack was so fast that it even tore the ground. But Miho was not there. The old man was also surprised to see what had happened suddenly. Pius looked at Miho and Miho thanked him for telling him about his enhanced senses. After some rest, Miho's condition had recovered considerably. And now Pius finally understood that this little boy was no joke. Miho had become even faster than before. He took the stance again and teased Pius to follow him. Now he went back to basics and took the first step. Pius immediately knew a major attack was coming. The fight between the two started again. And somehow Pius stopped the punch at the exact moment of timing. But Miho was full of confidence. He knew that blocking a punch could be a coincidence. But the second punch will definitely hit. But then another attack failed and Miho realized that now he would have to take one step further. Piece's senses had become so sharp that Miho was unable to land even a single strike. He couldn't understand how such a heavy man was able to keep up with his speed. But Pius thought to himself that he could even feel Miho's slight heartbeat. And now there was no blind spot around him that could make him fall. Even Miho realized that it was no longer possible to fight this opponent at normal speed. So even though it was a huge risk, he had no choice but to push his max speed and face Pius. Miho started charging like a Supra and knew he had to land his special move now. Straight light punch. But as soon as he threw the punch, Miho threw himself hard to the ground. As Miho fell, his neck broke. Pius asked him about the fall. Why did you fall down even after powering up so much? Miho immediately stood up. He thought his neck was broken. But his neck was absolutely fine. Pius simply smiled and said, "If you hadn't fallen down, I would have broken every bone of yours." Meanwhile, the old man stood up. He had realized that Miho's speed wasn't working anymore. But he was constantly learning, analyzing what moves he could use against his opponent if he couldn't defeat him. But then he saw Miho stand up again. And this was after his stamina doping had worn off. Despite this, Miho was still trying to maintain his speed, and the old man was truly shocked. But then, one of Miho's punches hit him. It hit Pius hard, right in the face. The old man was stinging, anticipating an incoming attack. Miho was now dodging the big man, spinning around him like crazy at super speed. The old man couldn't understand how Miho was maintaining such speed even after the effects of the doping had worn off. And then Miho threw another punch, and this was the second one. It was a continuous punch that landed squarely on Pius's face. Still, the old man couldn't understand why Miho was wasting so much energy on fake moves when his attacks were already working well. Then Amanda spoke up again. She explained that it was these fake moves that were causing Miho's punches to land. Amanda explained that Miho had stopped using fake moves when he realized his opponent had lost his vision. But that's where the problem began, because Pius's senses had become more advanced at that point. The old man understood Amanda's point by about 50%. But Amanda didn't stop. She continued to explain. Miho was now cheating Pius and his enhanced senses. Because if Pius sees a simple attack coming, he can easily read it. But if multiple attacks come at once, it will be difficult to block them. Especially when someone has those new senses. Don't have enough experience. Miho was now creating a pure confusing battlefield for Pius. And yet, after analyzing and predicting in such a short time, Amanda came to a shocking realization. The Miho was even more dangerous than she had first thought. The assistant pointed to Pius's confident expression, as if to say that Pius was still not giving up. Just then, Miho is caught and thrown hard to the ground. Everyone is shocked, but the next moment Miho disappears like dust. Then he suddenly appears in front of Pius. He is completely unharmed and looking directly into his eyes. Sianu is shocked when the Pius suddenly falls down as if he didn't punch anyone. Amanda explains that the repeated strikes Miho inflicted on Pius's head caused him to have brain shakes and impaired sensory perception, even though he was enhanced. Because of this confusion, Pius thought he had caught Miho, whereas in reality, he could not even touch him. Sianu is shocked and thinks, Miho even stronger than me? He becomes jealous of Miho's abilities, especially seeing that Miho is fighting with such sharp senses without any doping. Then a drone announces Kim Miho is the winner. The old man jumps with joy, whereas the VIP person becomes filled with anger. After the match, Miho falls to the ground due to exhaustion. On the other hand, the girl in the VIP room quietly notes that this fight no longer feels human. And then she understands that the old VIPs who have gone mad did not do so just like that. The girl's guard explained that this place was not just a battleground. This is a complete paradise for the elites. Here they get money, power, and out-of-the-world pleasures, in which there is violence as well as illegality, and that too without any consequences. The pride of VIPs is at stake in this fight. The girl now realizes why the second in command is completely determined to defeat the first in command. The guard explains that the second director has carefully selected his fighters and that his scout is not only skilled, but also possesses deep knowledge. The girl admits that everyone is in a hurry now and this race is very intense. He also says that the real strength will be seen in the coming rounds. The scene shifts. A character informs the director that all 16 VIPs have now arrived. The director is happy and hopes that this time they will get a significant victory. Also, reports come that sensory doping awakening has now reached its second stage, and this time the side effects are also 20% less. However, the regeneration they were looking for has not yet arrived. Still, the staff is not ready to accept that this doping has failed. He says that peak effects will start appearing now. The staff further explains that for the first time, doping has shown a new effect that could provide clues to regeneration. The director asks when the skin enhancement effect will be visible, and the staff replies that it will be in the next match in the main arena where Kai will fight. Meanwhile, Sianu is also preparing for his match. Then the old man gives him advice. If it becomes difficult, then simply give up. But Sianu calmly replies, I won't give up, and the old man is shocked to see Sianu's composure and composed attitude, as if he is not even touched by fear or nerves. Just then, a drone announces Kang Sianu and Kai is entering the arena. Sianu looks at him and thinks his fear-fighting attitude is from childhood, when he survived many dangerous incidents without a single scratch. Initially, he would cry out of shock, but gradually he became moist with danger. Bullies who tried to intimidate him were themselves scared by his emotionless reactions. Now Sianu had only one fear, the safety of his family. When he saw Kai, he instantly felt that this opponent was on a different level. Director Yun asked, what type of doping is Kai explained? This is his first time seeing any skin enhancement doping. Kim said that this doping is not only useful, it is insanely dangerous. Kai's skin is so hard and rough that even slight contact can tear the opponent's skin and muscles. He's practically a walking weapon. Kim also noticed that a lot of VPS were betting down on Kai, just because of his lightweight training and skin enhancement. Director Yun was a little confused. Should we still bet on Sianu? Kim said casually, all the bets are still on the Kai. No one is betting on Sianu except one. He said someone bet 1 billion on Sianu earlier. Director Yun was shocked to hear this. The scene shifts again. A guard asks Sung Director Yun, are you sure about your decision? Sung Director Yun replies, I am trusting my intuition. There's only one way to beat the veterans. Big risks for big rewards. Then the drone announces that the match begins, Kai versus Kang Sianu. Sianu is getting himself ready, full of determination, but one thing is bothering him. Why is Kai not making any preparations till now? Sianu asks Kai, will you fight or will you just talk? Kai replied softly, I am a warrior and I do not hurt the weak. Then he slowly moved towards Sianu and said, I will attack only once with 10% power. And the very next second he kicked Sianu with such speed that Sianu could not even react. The entire arena was shocked. It's a stunt seeing that brutal attack by Director Yun. He feels the match is over there. The old man says it would be better for Sianu to give up now. But Miho thinks Sianu isn't screaming in pain. Something is different. Sienna realizes that Kai didn't mean to hurt him. He just wanted to scare me. Miho explains that Kai isn't actually protecting Sienu, but is embarrassed that he has to seriously fight a high schooler. He is afraid that his reputation may get ruined. That's why he is pretending that this fight is an easy thing for him. Kai then tells Sienu that you should have pretended to be unconscious and not shown pain. But Sienu suddenly says, "Do you have any other solid comeback, or is just talking your superpower?" Kai is genuinely shocked to hear this. Kai admits he took it too lightly and decides to try again. This time he kicked at full speed, but Sienna blocked it with his foot. Silence fell over the entire arena. Kai immediately punched, but Sienna dodged it by just turning his head. Kai was surprised by Sienu's agility, and when he attacked him head-on, Sienu not only avoided it, but also landed a direct punch to Kai's head. Director Yun was shocked. And on the other side, the girl's eyes sparkled with delight. Sienna teases now. A guy who gives in to a high schooler doesn't deserve a chance. Kai's senses are blown away. Sienna then says, "I don't punch someone who has already been beaten in front of me." Kai angrily says, "If you can't pretend to lose, then now I have to scare you so much that you accept defeat yourself." Then Kai held Sienu's shoulder tightly and said, "Now I have no other choice left. I have to act." Sienu was completely shocked and couldn't even move when Kai hit him with a brutal headbutt at 50% strength. Sienu felt tremendous pain. But at that very moment, Ka also felt something strange. As if he had lost control of his power. Sienu immediately tried to kick. But Kai dodged it. Then he notices that Sienu doesn't look injured even after that headbutt. Sienu, on the other hand, was having his vision blurred. He was struggling. Kai attacks again, and even though Sienna dodges, his shirt is torn due to the force. The old man was also shocked. Shirt tear from such light contact, but Miho spoke calmly. This fight is still not over. Kai attacked again with full force. This time his knee landed a direct hit on Sienu's body. And without wasting a second, he prepared for another attack with his elbow. The old man shouted loudly, "Don't hit him on the back of the head. That could be fatal. This has gone too far." The arena floor cracked from Kai's powerful strike where Sienna had fallen. The entire arena went completely silent, as if everyone's breath had stopped. Sienna lay motionless in the middle of the arena, with Kai standing over him, without any expression, as if this brutal attack was nothing to him. If you liked the video, please do like it. Let us know in the comments which part you found most interesting, and yes, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so quickly. Also press the bell icon so that you don't miss any updates. See you in the next video. Till then, take care and thanks for watching. The old man shouted loudly, "Don't hit him on the back of the head. That could be fatal. This has gone too far." The arena floor cracked from Kai's powerful strike where Sienna had fallen. The entire arena went completely silent, as if everyone's breath had stopped. Sienna lay motionless in the middle of the arena, with Kai standing over him, without any expression, as if this brutal attack was nothing to him. The old man's heart sank. His face also became grim. He muttered, "This is too much." Fear was clearly visible in his voice. He's just a high schooler. Sienna might not survive this. Miho, who was standing nearby, he spoke in a very cold manner. "You said one thing right," he said, interrupting the old man's concern. "Kai is truly a monster. Exactly as I had heard." The old man looked at Miho confused. He could not understand what he wanted to say. At the arena, Sienu still hadn't moved. His head was still buried in the shattered floor. Kai stood staring at him. Thoughts were running through his mind. That was it. What happened to this guy? Kai felt a bit strange when he attacked with an elbow. A moment before that, Sienu himself had hit his head hard on the ground. Why did he do this? Did he want to hurt himself, or is he playing some twisted game? Then suddenly, Sienu's voice rang out from the ground. Light but sharp. "I was just trying to avoid an attack on your occipital lobe." Sienna spoke, his voice weak, but clear. Call it fear or quick thinking. This was the best option I had at that moment. Kai's eyes widened. He watched as Sienna slowly began to get up. Still, he was not ready to accept defeat. Sienna said, "Even if your head was made of steel, if your elbow had hit it directly, it could have caused real damage." Kai stood in disbelief. How is this kid even getting up? Is this the effect of some doping drug? But he remembered that Sienna hadn't taken any doping. In fact, his previous opponent had taken an overdose and was also killed. Then who is setting it up? The old man was also a stunt. What is happening? How did he get up again? He muttered in disbelief. Even the always composed Miho briefly raises an eyebrow. A slight surprise was visible on his face too. He quickly said, "It's fine. Don't worry about it." But deep inside, Miho was also starting to doubt himself. Sienu is strong. Yes, but something is wrong. He keeps getting up again and again as if it doesn't matter to him. Sienu was now fully standing in the arena. Even though he was breathing heavily, determination shone in his eyes. Kai stared at him in surprise. He said, "Hey kid, don't push yourself too much. If you just pretend to be unconscious, I will accept it. Don't hurt yourself unnecessarily." Sienu took a deep breath. He said this while looking directly into Kai's eyes. "You're still running your mouth." His tone was sharp and defined. "You just can't keep quiet for a second." Kai was genuinely confused. Has this child's brain been damaged by the impact, or is he just extremely stubborn? But one thing was clear. This fight wasn't over yet. And Sienna wasn't about to back down. Sienna took a steady breath. He returned to his fighting stance. His eyes were locked on Kai. He said with a slight smile, "Where has your attitude of making big claims gone? You know I can do this all day." His line was dripping with pure confidence. His spirit was still unbroken. Kai spoke with his cold, emotionless expression. "You can talk as big as you want. But what's the point of fighting when you know you can't win? Why are you wasting your time and energy?" Then, making a mocking gesture, Kai opened both his arms wide. Exposing his chest, he said, "Come on, let's make it interesting. Come with full force." "I won't defend myself." Sienna hesitated for a moment. Confusion flickered across his face. But then a different kind of sternness came into his eyes. "So, this is the real thing, isn't it? You were ignoring me for so long because you thought I was weak. That was fine, but now you have become so overconfident that you are openly mocking me." Kai's expression was still stone cold. He said, "I am the strongest, and I have traveled to hell to prove it. I have fought in the rings, won championship titles, but no one was strong enough to satisfy my hunger for a fight. I had to move on, had to find something else." Taking his point further, Kai said that when your sole aim is to become the ultimate warrior, you take the biggest risks. He said, "I had joined a gang where people would kill for cash. Then I went to an organization where opposition was eliminated without any thought. I have knocked down every person who came in my way. I am the ultimate survivor. The strongest." Sienu confronted Kai boldly. His spirit was not broken at all. He said sharply, "You think you have seen everything, but this is different. Now the real fight will begin." Sienna charged towards Kai at full speed without a single word. His first was a full-force clinch. Kai gave a small laugh as he watched him, his arms still wide open. No defense was taken. "It won't make any difference today," Kai said in a mocking tone. Sienna gathered all his strength and sent his punch straight to Kai's gut. The impact of the punch was so powerful that ripples spread throughout the arena. Even the ground shook. The crowd was absolutely shocked. Everyone was watching in disbelief. There was only one question in everyone's mind. Why did Kai let himself get hit? And how will this affect the fight? But Kai stood there. He did not move at all, as if that powerful punch had no effect on him. His cold expression was still the same. He looked down at Sienu and said, "I already told you this is useless. A mere high schooler doesn't have the power to hurt me." But then something strange happened. Kai's eyes suddenly started flickering. A slight look of confusion appeared on his face, and then a feeling which he had not felt for a long time. It felt as if something had broken inside him, like a piece of glass had been shattered from inside. Sienna didn't waste a second giving up. Seeing the opportunity, he landed another powerful punch to Kai's side. This time, Kai's stoic expression changed slightly. He felt that hit. Shock rippled through his entire body. He had never felt such pain in all his years, and it shook him to his core. Kai hadn't even grasped the situation when Sienu threw a swift kick at his head. But this time Kai did not repeat his mistake. He blocked the kick easily, his face twisted in anger. "How dare you?" Kai roared. His voice was filled with pure fury. He countered with a vicious punch. The punch was so powerful that even a rock would have exploded. Sianu sensed the sheer power of Kai's punch and tried to dodge. But the speed was so crazy that he could not survive. Kai's elbow lightly brushed against Sianu's chest. Still, the force was so much that a deep bloody cut was made. Sianu felt searing pain but still held on. He did not let the pain show on his face. The atmosphere in the arena was now pure electricity. Everyone was on edge. The tide of the battle had now turned. Both fighters had understood. Now this is going to be a brutal and relentless fight. Sianu's face tensed. He realized that he hadn't dodged Kai's last attack cleanly enough. So, he quickly created distance. An unnatural silence fell over the arena. Both fighters stared at each other. No one was moving. This tension was broken by Kai's cold voice. "You're not bad. You've had your chances. Do you want to show anything else?" Sianu's voice was low but confident. "Yes." A slow, confident smile spread across his face, catching Kai briefly off guard. Sianu said, tugging at the fabric of his toned shirt, "Remember something you said earlier?" And then he tore his shirt. His body opened up completely. A body that was proof of pure hard work and struggle. The audience was stunted. Especially the old man. The man in glasses who never expected a high schooler to have such a strong physique. There was a shift in the atmosphere. Sianu said in a steady voice, looking Kai in the eye, "I'm guessing I'm not going to get any free shots now. Right?" Kai's eyes narrowed and he gave a slight nod. "You're strong. I will give you that. But you're still a long way from winning me over." With his respectful warning tone, suddenly, without any warning, a blue glow spread around Kai's body. Energy started pulsing through his body. His strength had now reached terrifying levels. "Now I am at 100%, Kai announced. His form now looked monstrous. The aura was so heavy that Sianu started feeling the pressure. But still, the confident smile on Sianu's face didn't go away. His eyes were steady. He was ready to face Kai's full strength. The man with old man glasses on the side was confused. He said softly, "Why is he still smiling?" Amanda, watching the fight carefully, said softly, "It will be fun." His anticipation was increasing further. The old man shook his head in disbelief. "Interesting, this is going to be a slaughter. Kai is using everything. This will be a mess." Amanda said in the dark, "Fight is not just about power. When your opponent recognizes you, especially someone like Kai when the real fight happens." The old man frowned. "What's the use of recognition when you're going to lose?" Amanda's voice softened a little. "It's about fighting. I have also felt it. When people underestimate you. But when they finally take you seriously, that moment is the real victory." On the sidelines, Miho also said in a calm voice, "I get it. People used to doubt me after seeing my size. But when you force them to take you seriously, when you see that fear in their eyes, then you realize that all the hard work was worth it." For the first time, a small smile appeared on Miho's face. The old man was still a little unsure but muttered, "Maybe I understand now, but can Sianu really survive Kai's full power?" The tension in the arena became even heavier. The stakes were now sky high. Both fighters stood their ground. Now the question was, would Sianu be able to withstand a full might of K? Of the fighter who never lost when he went all out. Sianu broadened his confident smile even more. His energy surged again, and he said, "I'll go first," and then charged towards Kai at full speed. His fist was filled with pure determination. But Kai still didn't move. He effortlessly blocked Kong Sianu's punch with one hand. Only one thought came to Sianu's mind. What is this guy made of? His punch seemed to hit a concrete wall. Kai attacked hard with his other hand. Sianu somehow managed to block it, but the force of that one punch sent him crashing to the ground. The entire arena floor shook. Despite defending, the impact was so strong that Sianu was left breathless. His body was already bearing the toll of Kai's overweening power. But Kai's attack didn't stop there. His eyes locked on Sianu's weakened stance, and he moved with lethal precision to finish. He landed a powerful knee strike that ripped through the ground and shattered the arena floor. Sienna barely managed to avoid the attack by rolling himself out of harm's way. But still a deep cut formed on his back. The entire crowd was stunned by this sheer power. Even just a close-range attack can do that much damage. Miho, standing on the sidelines, also looked carefully and said softly, "He did escape it, but not completely." The fresh cut on Sianu's back was enough to prove how deadly power is hidden in every attack of Kai. Sianu panted heavily, trying to catch his breath. Sweat was dripping down his face. One thing echoed in his mind. The power gap is huge. For the first time, fear struck Sianu. It was now clear to him that Kai wasn't just powerful. He was a complete monster. He stood before him like a big mountain. Kai looked at him coldly and said, "Now you can see the gap between us. No matter how hard you try, it is impossible." "Then why are you continuing the fight?" Sianu's gaze deepened. A new determination shone in his eyes. He said in a low but defined voice, "Don't make me laugh. You are not the only monster here. I too have been treated like a monster my entire life." Sienna bent down as he said this. He gathered all his strength and pounced on Kai with a powerful elbow strike. But Kai, while remaining calm, moved his body a little and dodged the attack with ease. Sienna misses his move and loses his balance. But he was not one to give up. He quickly composed himself and struck again for a brutal headbutt. A wicked smile spread across Kai's lips. "Now it's my turn," he said coldly. The two headbutt at the same time. Their bodies collided hard, but Kai came out faster and stronger again. Sianu's entire body jolted in shock. His knees buckled and he fell to the ground. Kai stood over him like a towering figure and said in a cold voice, "The fight is over. Your attacks are very weak. Stamina is also gone. You are not worthy of fighting me." But instead of submitting, a small laugh escaped Sianu's lips. That laughter slowly started gaining strength. It started echoing throughout the arena. Kai's face changed. Irritation was clearly visible in his eyes. He said angrily, "Why are you laughing?" Sianu's smile grew even bigger. He replied in a steady voice, "If the fight is over, then why am I still untouched?" Kai's anger exploded. Intense blue energy began to emanate from his body. His power was at its peak again. His aura crackled like electricity all around him. Even the air became heavy with his energy. But as Kai moved for the final attack, he noticed something strange. Sianu's body was also glowing now. Faint light at first, but then it became brighter with every second. Sianu forced himself to get up despite the uncontrollable pain. His aura, which had been subdued until now, was now matching Kai's intensity. There was complete dead silence in the arena. Everyone's eyes were fixed on those two fighters. Now Sianu's unexpected power was pitted against Kai's overpowering strength, and no one could predict what was going to happen next. Sianu's entire body was pulsating with an intense fiery glow. Red aura was emanating from his body, and the atmosphere had become completely intense. The old man in the corner of the ring shouted in panic. Because of this intense atmosphere, my blood and sweat are flying. But his voice was completely drowned out by Sianu's rising energy. Now a terrifying light burned in Sianu's eyes. A storm of memories had arisen within him. Fighting, I've always hated it. He remembered all those days when he would return home brooding and battered and see the disappointment in his mother's eyes. Everyone considered me a monster. Maybe he was right. He thought I also sometimes accepted it myself. Old pains resurfaced. But this time something different had erupted in this arena. Some dark, some wild. This place is driving me crazy. He felt a strange laughter emanate from within him, slowly echoing throughout the grounds. Like a creepy hollow echo. What is this feeling? And why can't I stop? Sianu's eyes were fixed directly on Kai. His grin was growing uncontrollably big. I have no choice. I have to fight through this. I have to win. Kai also moved at lightning speed as Sianu's wild aura triggered. He came in with a powerful kick, aiming for Sianu's head. But now something had changed. Sianu's instincts had suddenly awakened. Performing an impossible move, he twisted his body like a spring in the air and dodged Kai's attack. In midair, Sianu reached out his hand and grabbed Kai's face. His fingers started digging into Kai's skull. Kai hadn't even finished his thought when Sianu delivered a brutal headbutt to his face. Bone-cracking sounds echoed through the arena. Kai staggered back. His mind had gone blank. How is this possible? He has become so strong. But Sienna didn't stop. Using headbutt's momentum, he hit a mid-air somersault and landed with both feet. The impact was so powerful that Kai hit the arena wall directly. Cracks formed on the wall. The audience held their breath simultaneously. Pure shock was visible on every face. Kai groaned in pain, trying to get up. His chest was beating rapidly. Even breathing had become difficult. How is he moving like this? His mind was filled with panic. But before he could think, a furious punch came towards him at lightning speed and hit him directly in the face. He was pushed against the wall again. The impact was so strong that Kai didn't even get time to react. Kai caught Xianu's next punch, gritting his teeth. His grip was strong. Was holding the wrist tight. Now I have caught it, he thought, but when his eyes met Xianu's, he saw something that shook him. A cold fire-like resolve. A chilling grin spread across Xianu's lips. With a sharp twist, he freed his hand, knocking Kai off balance and pulling him directly into striking range. Without wasting a moment, Xianu started raining furious punches. Every punch was faster and more dangerous than the previous one. Each hit landed on Kai's body like a thunderstorm. Kai's vision began to blur as his defenses were pierced. Only one question echoed in his mind. What is happening? How can someone move so fast? Didn't even get a chance to think. Xianu seized his moment and with a primal roar, landed his final punch full force into Kai's stomach. The entire arena shook with the impact. Shock waves spread everywhere. Kai jumped into the air screaming and landed hard on the ground. For the first time in years, Kai felt real pain. Such crushing pain as he had never imagined. This is not possible. Kai's mind was trying to find answers. Has Xianu been given a doping drug? No. How can someone become so strong in such a short time? But Xianu didn't even give him a chance to breathe. His glowing aura became even more intense. He charged towards Kai again. With a terrifying grim look on his face, Kai yelled. His voice cracked with frustration. Don't you ever get tired? But now Xianu was completely immersed in his new power. He did not respond. His fist was now moving like lightning. Kai blocked some punches. But Xianu's relentless attacks were like cannonballs. This is absolutely insane. Kai was wondering how human could move like this. Without wasting any time, he started raining hammering punches on Kai's ribs and back. So fast and heavy that Kai couldn't even think of countering. Kai's mind was in a panic. With each punch, a new wave of pain was surging through him. And then Xianu landed a full-powered punch on Kai's jaw. The force was so intense that Kai flew through the air and fell to the arena floor. The entire crowd went into stunned silence. A high schooler did it. This shock started resonating in the minds of the spectators. The boy who was once considered powerless. Today he had dismantled the most feared fighter. Kai lay absolutely still on the ground. His body was completely bruised and broken. A pool of blood had formed around him. He was staring at the sky without blinking. What the hell just happened? Kai had lost to a student. The battered one was beaten and bleeding for the first time in years. Xianu, on the other hand, stood upright, breathing heavily. His red aura was now slowly fading. But the same wild intensity still burned in his eyes. He looked around at the arena. The old man said he had done it. He had made the impossible come true. But a faint voice echoed in some corner of his mind. The arena had gone completely quiet. Every eye was fixed on Kai's unmoving body. The old man standing in the corner stammered. Is he alive? He hasn't even moved. So much blood. Amanda nodded slowly. The face was stern. That's not Kai's blood. It's Xianu's. The man's eyes widened in surprise. What? Amanda said that all the blood on Kai was from Xianu's fist. His hands are worn out from punching Kai's hard skin. Xianu was breathing raggedly in the center of the arena. He looked down at his fist. The skin is completely torn. Bones were visible at some places. What is this? He thought, wincing in pain. Everything hurts, looks like the muscles have been ripped from the inside. His vision started to blur. And in disbelief he saw Kai getting back up. The girl's voice in the VIP room was trembling. How is Kai getting up after taking all that from Sianu? That's impossible. The bald man leaned forward and spoke. Eyes were completely focused on the fight. Kai is using his skin harnessing ability as armor. It's not just protecting him but damaging Sianu as well. Look, his fists are completely torn up. Even the bones are exposed. The girl's heart started sinking. You're saying Sianu can't beat him? We're going to lose this fight. Kai slowly stood up in the arena, breathing heavily. This pain. I have never felt anything like it. What is this kid made of? Why won't he back down? His eyes were swimming. He blinked hard. I am at my limit. I am not able to see anything. I have to end this now. Kai took a deep breath. Sianu looked into his eyes and raised his hands in a fighting stance. Let's beat this kid one way and another. With new determination, Kai charged towards Sianu. But Sianu dodged. His instincts were now even sharper. Kai's kick missed and Sianu, clenching his broken fist, punched with all his might. How's he still this fast? Kai was thinking about blocking the punch, but the impact sent a wave of pain through his entire body. But Sianu felt even worse. His fists were completely destroyed. Every punch was causing more damage to him. Blood was dripping from his nose. The arena floor had turned red. I can't feel my hands. Only pain or my hits even landing. Kai sensed Sianu's frustration and snorted. Come on, kid, let's tear each other apart. With a dangerous glint in his eyes, Kai jumped back into the fight. By devoting myself completely, we will keep going until nothing is left. Both fighters unleashed a relentless barrage of punches. No one was ready to back down. Sianu's fists screamed in agony, while Kai's skin acted as a brutal shield, turning every strike against Sianu. Sianu's body was broken from exhaustion. His fists had become moist. The pain had become unbearable. His thoughts started becoming blurred. I feel like I'm having a brain slip. I can't hold on much longer. I was in disbelief at that time. This kid, how much pain can he take? He is taking everything without hesitation. For the first time, doubt entered Kai's mind. But that doubt vanished the moment he felt something strange. A sensation he hadn't felt in years. What is this? He looked at his fist. Eyes wide. My strength, his punches were starting to weaken. Old man was now yelling at him to stop. No more time to waste. Kai's eyes fixed on Sianu's exhausted body. He took the decision at that very moment. I will end it now. A glint appeared in Kai's eyes. He had seen the perfect opening. There it is. Gathering his remaining strength, he pulled his leg back and gained momentum for a devastating final blow. His low kick collided with Sianu's leg, with a bone-cracking force. The sound echoed through the arena like thunder, and for a second, Kai felt as if his soul had been ripped from his body. Sianu stumbled, losing his balance. His eyes stared at the ceiling. I am falling. Kai didn't waste a single second. This is it. He pulled his leg back again. Ready to deliver the final crushing blow, not just once, Kai tried to launch a powerful attack a second time as well. But this time Sianu did something that no one had even imagined. Instead of dodging or blocking the kick, he clashed it with his own leg. The old man was completely shocked. Sianu countered that attack directly with his bone. Such a move creates extreme pain, and everyone watching the fight was thinking that Sianu's bones would have been crushed right now. Those two strong kicks had knocked Sianu to the ground. This was the worst situation he had ever been in. He clearly saw that the flesh on his leg had been torn apart by Kai's doping-powered kick. Sianu clearly felt that this had become very serious. His body was now unable to even move. At that moment, Kai threw another kick. This was his final attack. Absolutely ruthless. But then something happened that shocked everyone. Kai gets a leg break of his own. This scene was so unexpected that the entire arena was stunned. The fighter who always broke the bones of others now had his own bones broken. Kai couldn't understand how this happened. His skin was reinforced. Then how is the fracture? And not just his legs, the joints of his arms were also already damaged from the beginning of the fight. Sianu already knew that Kai had very tough skin. But from inside he is also a normal human. So, Sianu risked everything. He sacrificed his leg flesh so he could use his naturally hard bones as a weapon, and the move worked. The impact shook Kai's entire body and his bones cracked. Yun was shocked. How's this possible? Whereas no external wound was visible on Kai's body, Kim explained that his bones were already damaged. He could not bear the impact. Xianu's bones are as hard as steel. Kai attacked him as if with a bare hand. His skin may be reinforced, but inside he is still a human being. And with that, the winner was crystal clear. Xianu let out a loud victory shout. The old man who was watching this fight was filled with joy and surprise. Xianu was truly a miracle kid. Even after facing such a brutal fight, he was still standing. Miho was now completely convinced. Xianu is definitely hiding something. No normal person can have this much power without doping. On the other hand, the boss of the underground arena was monitoring the entire fight. He asked, "Is this boy really fighting without doping?" The professor confirmed that yes, this is what is written in the report. And as soon as all the matches of the first round are over, he will test it again just to confirm. Now the man was determined to know everything about this boy. Who is he? Where did he come from? First step, trace the identity of Xianu's parents. Because such power was not normal at all. On the other hand, in the hospital where Xianu's mom and dad were admitted, a man silently entered the room, due to which Xianu's mom woke up. She thought it must be hospital staff. But no, it was two men in suspicious black suits. Back at the arena, Xianu was covered in injuries after the brutal fight and was taken to the recovery room. When Yun saw Xianu's condition, he started doubting whether Xianu would be able to win the next round. During the physical test turn, Yun and Kim were secretly planning to inject doping into Xianu without his knowledge. If Xianu wins his next fight, he will become a potential candidate for the top championship. But his upcoming opponents will be very powerful. Yun was a little hesitant because according to the rules, doping can be given only if the fighter gives consent. But Kim explained to him that this would just be a test on Xianu's body to see if there would be any reaction or not, and even if there was any effect, there would be no visible change on the body, so he would not be caught. He believed that Xianu's body was different from normal humans and doping might not have any effect on him. If this was proven, the boss would decide whether to keep Xianu as a fighter or not. Xianu was lying on the bed in the recovery room when a man quietly came with a syringe. Meanwhile, Yun and Kim were discussing in the fighting arena that according to the rules, one more win would have put Xianu in the top 16, where only high-stakes fighters were allowed entry. Yun doubted anyone would bet on injured fighter Xianu, but Kim pointed it out. Xianu has already won 2 fights without doping and people are already paying attention to him. Till date, no one in the history of the underground arena has won 2 fights without doping. If Xianu wins the 3rd match spectacularly, everyone will be watching him. But Kim believed that now he should also pay attention to other fighters, because it is almost impossible to win without doping. And Yun could find new fighters who weren't currently under any company. But Xianu will know his limits, and if he wants to save his mom and dad, he will have to use doping. Then Yun took a dangerous decision. If Xianu's body doesn't respond to the doping, they will have to discard him. Xianu had no idea that Kim had already planned everything, and if he turned out to be useless, his parents' help would also stop. The whole plan was going smoothly because Xianu was so busy in fights that he was not able to know anything about his parents. He will just keep fighting until he loses or dies. Yun was also hesitant because Xianu's power was enough without enhancements. Kim felt that Yun was risking his life with this plan and was fully prepared to help his boss remove his brother so that he could gain control of the company through this underground arena. This was the thrill for Kim, finding the strongest fighter who rose from the underground world. So, he chose to side with his boss so that he could pick fight candidates for himself. Yun had no idea that the person he trusted for so long had such a scary personality hidden inside him. Within a short time, the agent came back with the doping result, and the result was shocking. Xianu's body was not responding to doping, which was very rare. Kim was absolutely sure now. Xianu's body couldn't absorb doping, and it was quite disappointing. Because that boy had extraordinary bones. Yun has now also decided to stop Sianu's parents' treatment so that everything can be resolved quickly. That means now he wanted his parents also to be removed from the way. After a while, all the fighters were gathered in the fight lobby. Seeing this, Miho was convinced that the selection of 62 fighters had now been finalized. The old man was a little worried because he hadn't seen Sianu anywhere yet, and he thought that maybe Sienna hadn't fully recovered from his brutal fight. On the other hand, Amanda liked this pause because according to the rules, the next round will start only when all the participants recover. As Miho watched Amanda stretch her legs, he was shocked because her legs seemed boneless. Everyone in the arena was at risk of injury. Many times, the fighters even died. These three somehow survived and made their place among the 62 winners. Miho was surprised to see that friendly old man's hidden power. Eventually, his hands would become so big that he could easily overpower his opponents. The old man laughed to himself and said, "Man, I didn't think the effects of doping would match so perfectly with my muscle power." Not just the old man, Miho now began to understand that Amanda was also not an ordinary fighter. One special thing about her was attracting everyone's attention. She did not use her hands in the fight. But till now Miho has not been able to understand how Amanda's opponents fall, because her moves were so fast that it was difficult to understand. When Miho asked her the secret, Amanda smiled and avoided answering. "I will not tell you now. Who knows? Tomorrow you may become my opponent." On the other hand, Yun had returned to his office. He asked Kim if anyone could recommend a suitable candidate. Kim immediately forwarded a file. It said Ryo Ichika, the same fighter who was going to face Sianu in the next round. This was perfect for Kim because it would allow him to get rid of both Sianu and his family. Meanwhile, in the recovery room, Sianu woke up and panicked, calling out for his mother. The problem was that this wasn't a dream. He actually heard the agents who had come to secretly give him doping injections talking among themselves. If his body does not react, then his parents will be removed and he will also be killed in the fight. Now Sianu decided that he had to leave immediately and save his parents. On the other hand, in the office of the director of the underground arena, the director asked the scientist what did they find out about Sianu's body. The scientist said, "As we suspected, this boy is extraordinary. Doping has no effect on it. His bonuses are 10 times denser than humans. This is practically impossible. Like some rare gift from God, and not only this, Sianu's recovery ability is also abnormal. This is not normal healing, but a kind of regeneration." As soon as the scientist gave the report, the boss director's reaction was totally unexpected because it was really unbelievable. Till now they were doing research on physical regeneration doping, and now they started feeling that Sianu's body could perhaps become the key to their entire research. The director then asked if Sianu's parents were saved so he could be kept under control. But the scientist replied embarrassedly that someone else had taken them away before his people could reach there. Sianu, on the other hand, was in a panic. He quickly opened the door so he could escape. But as soon as he opened the door, a girl was standing in front. She smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Sungyeon," but Sianu didn't have time to talk. He had to leave urgently. Then Sungyeon threw the bomb. "You don't need to look for your parents because I have taken care of them." Meanwhile, Yun receives news that Sianu's parents have disappeared. Kim guessed that this might be the work of the people from the underground arena. Yun thought that it would not be a right decision to interfere in the matters of the arena people. So, he ignored it. Then Yun asked, "Have you contacted the next fighter?" Kim replied nonchalantly, "Don't worry. All fighters can invite VIP guests at any time. You just have to pay the money, whatever the zone may be." Meanwhile, when Sianu hears the news about his parents, he explodes with anger. Swangian tells him to shut up. If you want to save your parents, running away would be a wrong decision, but Sianu was adamant, "I will kill whoever comes in front of me." Then Swangian told the shocking truth. "The one who brought you here now wants to break all ties with you and also wants to remove your parents." She also reveals that the lone shark that Sianu beat up at his house is now looking for him. Swangian tried to impress him by visiting him in person without any bodyguards so that she could talk to him directly. Sianu asked in surprise, "Who are you? And why are you doing all this?" Sungyeon smiled and said, "I just need one thing from you." Although she was young, She was one of the 16 VIPs who had special permission to enter the underground arena, while other companies could only watch the live broadcast. Now she has made it clear that the people targeting Sianu's parents are not going to stop. If Sianu is thinking of running away, he will only put his family in more danger. According to Sungyeon, there is only one way Sianu and his parents can escape. Sianu has to keep winning, no matter how many dangerous fighters come in front of him. She said that she is staking her own company shares and is planning a strategy to bring down both her stepbrothers. If Sianu keeps winning fights, she can gain full power of her dad's company. She can deal with her brothers and even deal with loan sharks with money. But Sianu had a question in his mind. What kind of deal could be made in such a place? Swangyeon explained that this underground tournament has its own rules. VIPs and fighters have to adhere to their deals. If anyone breaks it, he is immediately eliminated so that the reputation of this underground arena is not tarnished. She also reminded that if VIPs don't choose Sianu, he will be automatically eliminated. That means both of them needed each other. But Sianu wasn't one to trust so easily. For him, all these rich people were just out to exploit him. Swangyeon had no physical proof that his parents were with him because everything except clothes was taken away upon entry into the place. Still, she confidently said, "I know secrets about your parents that even you don't know. Things related to your genetics." Hearing this, Sianu was genuinely shocked, as he himself didn't know so many details about his family's past. Just as he was about to ask more, the door opened, and time was up. Before leaving, she whispered in his ear, "I'm risking everything to save your parents. You don't need to run away. Just close the deal. Fight and keep winning." At the beginning of the scene, we see that suddenly the door opens loudly and both of them turn towards it in shock. A guide drone was entering the room. Sianu remained stunned. The 4 words of Swangyeon silenced him completely. For the first time, he had nothing to say, caught between disbelief and a faint hope. Then the drone stopped in front of them and said in its own voice, "It's checkout time." And then she left. Sianu just stood there. Their conversation echoed in his mind. Every word, everything was going around in his mind. Like everyone is pushing him to trust her. He was trapped. No one could be completely trusted here. But now he was faced with a decision that could either save or destroy his family. He was feeling the weight of that pressure. Scene now shifts to Fighting Ward's room number 10. The 5-person room shifted where Sianu's roommates were gathered. Each fighter stood with their guide and the old man watched the prize money rankings on a big screen. He announced to the room, "After winning the last round, all of your rankings have gone up significantly." As the rankings flickered on the screen, the old man's eyes landed on Sianu's ranking. He said with a slight nod, even as Sianu came forward. But his injuries hampered his position in the prize pool. Miho, standing nearby, said he is still in recovery. Right? The last fight must have been brutal. No VIP will bet on an injured fighter. Just then the door opened and the guide drone announced player Sianu has returned to Fighting Ward's room number 10. Sianu came in. Everyone followed the drone and everyone's eyes were fixed on it. The old man was the first to greet him. "Your condition seems better than expected." There was a slight relief in his voice. Sianu cast a bitter glance around the room and said softly, "You seem to come out of all the fights without a scratch." There was a hint of disappointment in his tone, which confused the old man. "What do you want to say?" Sianu's eyes were still fixed on the ground. "I got hurt badly in my last fight. You all are skilled, powerful, and dangerous fighters, and I am doubting myself whether I am weak in front of you all." His voice was trembling with frustration. The hands were clenched into fists. The old man and Amanda looked at each other. There was a mix of anger and determination in Sianu's body. "Whatever happens, I have to reach the round of 16. If I don't reach there, the danger to my family will increase," he said, desperation clear in his voice. He turned to the old man and Amanda. "Please help me. I want to become stronger. I am ready to do anything." The old man was watching him, a little shocked and worried. Just as he was about to say something, Sianu cut in. "Tell me, old man, am I not trainable? Am I not worthy of being here?" Amanda broke the silence. There was authority in her tone. You need an ultimate move. Now both Sianu and the old man looked at her with curiosity and intensity. Amanda looked at Sianu with sharp eyes. No fighter dominates unless they have a signature technique. And in this world where we're fighting literal monsters, a lethal move is essential. She came closer to him. Do you even know what your specialty is? Sianu? What could be your ultimate move? Sianu was in the stun. His eyes widened. My specialty was his voice onshore. I do not know. The old man crouched beside him, inspected his shin. How about a calf kick? He was thoughtful. Use your shin bone. Sienna stared at him, processing ideas in the mind. The old man said, I have trained many fighters, but very few have the leg control and power like you. In your fight, your leg bone took a full-force slow kick from Kai and you still stood. This is exceptional bone strength. Sienna remembered his fierce clash with Kai. The memory of each brutal hit came alive within him. He slowly nodded and said, I trust the strength of my bones. There was a bit of confidence in his voice now. The old man stood up straight. His tone was more animated now. Calf kicks are no longer the same, Sianu. Now it has become more sophisticated and honestly more deadly. If you master it, you can knock down your opponent in a single strike. A move that can save you at the right moment. He gave Sianu a demonstration of the calf kick, showing precise stances, angles, and forces. It's not just a matter of brute strength. Technique is everything. The old man explained. When this kick is executed with proper form, the impact is devastating. Sianu came to the stands, absorbing every detail. Taking a focused breath, he delivered a powerful calf kick to the wall, so loud that a sharp crack echoed through the room. The old man's eyes widened in surprise. Then a grin spread across his face. That sound made him laugh and shake his head. Listen, you have a natural touch for this. I think you understand. But just as they were sharing a moment of satisfaction, thunderous thunders suddenly echoed through the walls. The whole room shook. The old man's face darkened. Worry was clearly visible on his forehead. Where is this sound coming from? Heavy thuds echoed down the hallway. The entire fighting ward was filled with his voice. The scene shifted, revealing the source behind a closed door. A figure was executing moves with deadly precision. Every strike was fierce, intense, and full of power. His name is Ryo Ichika, and this is the same guy who is going to be Sianu's opponent in the next round. Ranked 15th in the prize pool, he is a living example of lethal skill and raw strength. His presence was terrifying in itself. And his brutal training was a reminder of what fighters awaited him next. The scene returned to the fighting wardroom number 10, filled with tension. The old man said urgently, Sianu, if you knock your opponent out with a perfect calf kick, fights can end quickly, without unnecessary brawls. And if you reach the next round injury-free, your prize pool ranking will also increase. More eyes on you means bigger stakes, bigger rewards. Before Sianu could respond, Menon suddenly appeared behind him. Sianu jumped back in shock. His face was in shock. Menon then said, this won't do. Menon's face was deadly serious. He looked at everyone in the room. Serious, you all haven't understood yet? He stared at everyone with disbelief. Didn't you guys notice that Sianu already has a special move? The old man asked, puzzled. What are you getting at, Menon? Menon stepped forward and pointed a finger at Sianu. Menon said again, his head but a glint in his eye. Sianu's look how many brutal headbutts he took in his fight with Kai, and yet he stood like nothing happened. That's no small feat, I'm telling you. Sianu has the toughest skull I've ever seen. Sianu's mouth dropped open, realizing how closely Menon had observed his fighting style. Menon's eyes narrowed, with an unsettling enthusiasm. Menon said again, I want to test your skull, Sianu. He stepped forward. But Sianu instinctively stepped back, trying to create distance. The old man immediately intervened, raising his hand to stop him. Hold on. A stronger headbutt can also damage the attacker. This is no small gamble, especially against the monsters in this ward. Sianu shook his head, remembering the fight with Kai. If I keep using my head as a weapon, I risk brain damage. Maybe. Worse than that. I might not even be able to clear 2 rounds. Menon's face fell. Disappointment and frustration were evident in his expression. Menon said again, "That's a strange thing to say, Sianu." Intensity shone in his eyes. "What do you think? Is anyone fighting here without risking their lives? In this arena, everyone knows the stakes are between life and death. You think you can get ahead without pushing the limits?" The entire room fell silent. It was as if Menon's words had dropped a stone on everyone's head. Sianu's heart began to pound. He realized that no matter how much of an advantage he had, if he couldn't face those risks, it would all be for nothing. Menon ran his finger across his throat, saying, "If you hold back, you're 100% guaranteed dead." That chilling gesture hung in the air, striking everyone's heart. The old man gritted his teeth, but he didn't deny Menon's words. He could. He knew it too. Menon was absolutely right. As brutal as it sounded, Menon gave the old man a steely look. Leaning closer, he said, "You have no position to worry about Sienna right now." The old man was startled, clearly shaken by Menon's words. Menon stepped forward, a grim expression on his face. "Your turn is next, isn't it? And your opponent is Minsu, rank number 9. He's not someone you can take lightly." The weight of his words hung in the air, and a faint wave of worry crossed the old man's face. The scene shifted to the dimly lit control area, where the fighting ward director was checking Minsu's stats on a digital pad. "This guy's doping level is terrifying," the director muttered, scrolling through the data. Behind him, in a dreary row of ports, fighters were suspended, half resting, half in an experimental state, including Kai. The director looked at his subordinate, a doctor, who respectfully stood next to him. "It's good you brought him here," the director said, glancing at Minsu's stats. Dr. Han bowed and said, "Thank you. It is only because of your kindness that my son was able to receive this treatment and be brought here to the fighting ward." The doctor's thoughts wandered as he bowed in respect. He started remembering that dark night which had changed his life forever. He remembered how he had rushed home that day, apologizing to his son for being late, and then he froze in front of that scene. Han was lying on the ground. His weak body had lost the strength to get up. The muscles of the hands and legs had completely melted, ruined by a rare degenerative disease. Minsu whispered softly. Looking up, I fell. I am not able to get up. Help me. A wave of helplessness ran through the doctor. Tears filled his eyes. When he sat on his knees next to his son. Being a doctor, he had always saved others. But he could not do anything for his own son. Minsu's condition worsened over time. Every day his symptoms increased, and each symptom broke the doctor's spirit. Just when all hope seemed lost, a mysterious message arrived from an unknown man who introduced himself as the director of the fighting ward. The doctor had no other option left, so he pushed aside his doubts and reached the address. Upon reaching there was the entrance of a normal-looking building in front of him. Inside there was a dark, scary staircase leading down. His heart was trembling, but he moved ahead for his son. At the end of the stairs, he found himself in a clinical room, where roses of glass pots were kept, in dimly lit spaces in which people were suspended, in some unknown experimental process involving tubes and wires. That sight was like nightmare. But for the doctor, there was a twisted glimmer of hope in it. He saw how the front lineup the vials were put together. A mix of life and death in every capsule. A list on a desk contained the world's most powerful names. Famous scientists, leaders about whom the doctor had only heard in the news. The doctor's fingers trembled as he scanned the document. It was scary, but a strange hope also shone through. Perhaps this was his son's last chance. Just then the director came in, his face smooth and his eyes as calculating as a hawk. "Well, doctor, I think you understand what we're dealing with here," he said with a small smile. He extended his hand and said, "This is your chance to save your son and do something monumental. Join us. You'll get all the resources, and we'll take complete care of your son. Consider this a collaboration." The doctor's mind raged. A part of him screamed, "Don't trust this man." But another part of him, broken by his son's pain, was ready to listen. Tears filled his eyes, and he froze, caught between duty and desperation. Terror finally overcame hope. He turned and ran. He reached his home without stopping. He burst through the front door and called out for his son. But what he saw tore at his soul. Minsu, with his frail, bruised body, broken by disease, was trying to hang himself. The doctor grabbed Minsu tightly and pulled him down, holding him tightly, crying himself out. Minsu whispered softly, "Please, Dad. It hurts so much. I can't go now." He couldn't live like this. The doctor understood at that moment. The fight was over. He couldn't bear to see his son's pain any longer. The very next day, he returned to the hospital and accepted the director's terms. There was no turning back. The man who had once sworn to save life had now given birth to a monster who was none other than his own son. The scene snapped back to the present. Minsu was standing in the arena corridor. The sound of a buzzing drone echoed. Fighter Minsu's drone mechanically announced, "You may enter the arena now." The heavy doors opened with a roar, and he stepped forward. His expression was cold, completely unflinching. Inside the stadium, the old man stood ready. His stance was steady. The drone's voice echoed through the arena. Match between Old Man, Park Woo-sik, rank 22, and Minsu rank 9. Begins now. As soon as the drone fell silent, both fighters exploded simultaneously. Minsu moved with dizzying speed. His leap almost. It was instantaneous. Before the old man could even fully react, Minsu's fingers shot forward like blades and pierced his right shoulder with brutal precision. The old man's eyes widened. A wave of pain ran through his body.